So before we get started, let's just talk about the word soundproofing because it's very confusing. There is a lot of information out there about soundproofing, which is the process of reducing the amount of sound in a room, okay? And so in our video, we're gonna talk about how to make a perfect theater room. Now, a theater room needs a whole lot of things. It needs technology, it needs a good assembly, it needs diligence, and it needs a good understanding because you gotta manage your expectation when you're gonna build a theater room. You can't just take somebody's advice and then go and build it and then be disappointed. So what we're gonna do in this video is go through all the different steps on how to do a really good assembly that gives you off the wall kind of what I like to call, as far as soundproofing is concerned, is what I call the hear your heartbeat kind of quiet room, okay? It's gonna be so quiet in here that you are not gonna have any disturbance and you're not gonna disturb anybody else in the home. And that is the ultimate key. So if you're just looking to quiet a room, we might be looking for what we call a sound transmission class rating of 50, which is what you get when you have like a row housing, okay? It's the partition wall between two units. They just want to be able to separate enough noise that you can't hear what they're saying, but you hear them talking, right? That's not a theater room. And that's the kind of technology a lot of people are using. Just sound insulation, a couple layers of drywall. It's not going to cut it. You're going to be disappointed. So in this video, we're going to go through all the different information. So let's just get right into it and let's talk about the basics of soundproofing, which is this. You need to control the air movement because that's what sound travels in, and you need to have different kinds of materials as far as density so you can attack different kinds of sound waves, because the bass versus the high frequency, it takes different material to cancel that out. So you've got to have an assembly that combines all of that information, and it's complicated. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through all the different steps of building this room and talk about everything that you have to do one step at a time in order to get a hear your own heartbeat kind of soundproof room. Let's get at it. So your major enemy when you're doing soundproofing is the air penetrations. Now, the wall assemblies that you'll find online and all their STC ratings do not include any electrical or plumbing penetrations. The fact is if you have just a small little hole in your wall, you can hear what's going on the other side clearly. That's all it takes. It's just a little penetration. So let's talk about electrical because you have to seal these up. Now, if you have a box in your wall and you're gonna do a soundproofing job right from the beginning, you can open up your wall and you have access to it. Then you're gonna have a box like this with wires coming out. What I'm gonna suggest is you pick up some putty pads, and don't be concerned. All the products we're talking about today, we're gonna have links in the description so you know where to find them. But it's just basically a clay pad. And you wrap your box in it, and you can take the other piece of paper off as well, and you can wrap it around the box and seal up those penetrations, including the wire. And it's very malleable, okay? And you can make sure that there's no air passing through the back of that box from the other room. And that is super key. The other thing you want to do is if you're running new wiring, I'm going to suggest you go out and buy this box. This is a plastic box, of course, but it already has some pads on it, okay? This is just like a soft rubbery foam. It also has a face with the foam on it. So when you attach the drywall, you get a gasket. It's like a seal. And this is incredible because when you push your wire through here, you actually want to just take a knife, slice a little bit, okay? And I'll show you. And your wire, you're going to push that wire in there and you're still going to have a pretty decent seal on this box. Now it's not perfect, so when you're done running all your wiring, you might want to throw a little expansion foam around there, or again, grab a putty pad if you think it's necessary. Once you have all your penetrations taken care of with the putty pad or expansion foam, then it's time to move on to your insulation. And then there's two major kinds out there, fiberglass and mineral wool. And I know the company out there is marketing their mineral wool. They're safe and sound, Roxol, right? And they're promoting it as quiet insulation. The reality is sound travels in waves. And every time it hits a fiber that's traveling in a different direction, the wave changes direction. So whether it's mineral wool or fiberglass bat, there's so many fibers in there that's changing the direction, they almost have exactly the same performance. It's true, mineral wool is a little bit better, but in the grand scheme of things, if you're going to get a STC rating of 2 difference for mineral wool over fiberglass, the cost does not pay for the benefit, all right? There are ways to get 20 and 30 increase in STC rating for a lot less than you're going to spend on mineral wool. We'll go through that in just a few minutes. All right, so once you have all your penetrations taken care of, now it's time to move on to your vapor barrier in your room. And that's important because you're going to want to take care of any places where your plastic has got cuts or joints, and you're going to want to seal that up with tape. Make sure it's a continuous barrier because you don't want to have an actual hole in your barrier, okay? By the way, quick note, always fold your tape over so you can find the edge later. That'll save you from going crazy. And to finish off your vapor barrier, I want you to use this product. This is cheap, it's acoustic sealant. It's basically like a rubber caulking, and it never dries. And so we're just gonna puncture that and stick that on. And we want to make sure that our vapor barrier is continuous, okay? And that's really important. Because if we're putting on a vapor barrier in a house and it's 95% sealed up as a barrier, that does a pretty good job of protecting your home. But when it comes to sound, you need 100%. There's no way to cut corners here. Remember, the quality of your soundproofing is all in the details. So what you want to do is take your plastic and you want to run a bead along the base of your wall. And I want you to take your plastic now, couple of staples, and then press it right into the goop till you see a solid black line. Okay? And then staple that plastic to the wall. This is an air seal, all right? Now, once you've got that done, none of the air from outside is penetrating into your room. That is the goal for vapor barrier when you're doing sound protection. It's a great way to do a house in general, but most building codes don't require that sealant when you're putting on plastic. But when you're doing soundproofing, it's definitely a necessary step. Don't skip it. The next part of our assembly is really crucial and it's amazing. It's an awesome product called Mass Vinyl. Now, there's lots of comments to this online and you have to buy this from a special company. You're not gonna find this just about anywhere in the store. It's only available online from the best I can figure. And the company that we're dealing with, I'll just show you a quick score. I didn't cut through it, okay? But this stuff is really easy to work with, all right? It's extremely heavy. This product is 1/8 of an inch. The company we're dealing with, it's got 3 different options for you. 1/16, an eighth, and a quarter. The 1/4 inch is amazing, generally for floors. You can put it on walls and ceiling, but I'm telling you, the 1/4 inch stuff is 2 pounds a square foot. So you better have a system in place for installing it. What we did here is I worked with my son to install it, and we cut it in lengths that were manageable, and we just attached it to our frame with 1/2 inch staples, okay? And that's just a T50 1/2 inch staple hammer. It made for quick work putting it up. We installed it with a bit of an overlap because you'd go crazy trying to get the seams perfect, look, but it works amazing, okay? Now this stuff has an STC rating of 20, all by itself. But the best part about it is it's such a dense product. It's totally different than the other soundproofing materials we're going to be using in the room. So this cancels out all of those bass waves, right? All of those really deep sounds. It is amazing. It's also awesome for impact noise. So that's why they make this in a 1/4 inch panel. You can actually put this on your floor before your hardwood. Okay.
Who needs a drywall lift, eh?
Well, I don't think the drywall lift would be very effective here. 1/2 inch staples. 1/8 inch vinyl mass. Over 40 degrees.
Who's exaggerating more?
Bugger.
Nice.
The next part of our assembly is to put on the hat channel. Now this is awesome because this ends up being the surface that we're attaching our drywall to, and it's not mechanically fastened to the structure, okay? One of the challenges with soundproofing is hardware penetrating the framework of the building, whether it's metal or wood, that travels the sound. It's a very clear path for sound to travel on. So what this is it's disconnected. It sits in a clip and it just snaps in. Now, this is what the clip looks like. And you can see these grooves are where the hat channel will snap into on each side. all right? And it can be installed in any direction, even on an angle. And the plate itself is screwed in, but then the channel itself is not actually attached to the frame anymore. And the back of this, which is why I love it, because I went to my favorite drywall store to get some supplies. They did not have this. All they had was this part here. They didn't have the back plate with that sound pad. All right, so this is another sound break from the framing to the metal hat track. Everything we're using here goes so far above and beyond what you'd think is traditionally available that I think we're going to make a lot of people jealous. But this product is an amazing clip, and I'm going to show you how I install it so I can save you some hassle. So what I do when I'm going to install this is a simple system, and you put the clips on the hat track, and then you slide them over roughly where you want them, but every 2 feet, because that's where my framing spacing is. And so I just throw them all on here real quick. It's 12 feet long, so I want 6 of these. And they slide real easy. And 2 feet, 4 feet, 6, 8, okay? And so I get them roughly in position where they're gonna go, and then I'm gonna screw the one from the middle in place. So let's get that down next. That goes right to the wall. My frame is over here. So we find the wood just by pressing, because the vinyl wrap, it'll actually put a dent line, and you'll know where your frame is. Okay, and then every 16 inches to 2 feet, you attach the clip. Top and bottom. Then we grab our level, we put it on our track, and we can make adjustments on the height. There we go. And then it's just a matter of sliding everything in position and screwing it in place. This is real easy, do it yourself. No need to have an extra pair of hands for this step. You're gonna need it for the vinyl mask though. Word of warning, have a neighbor lined up. And so we're actually killing 2 birds with 1 stone in here. We're doing the soundproofing against the rain with the black vinyl mask, but this hat channel is part of our additional assembly. We're soundproofing this as a theater room as well. So the next stage of soundproofing is to add the green glue. Now, one of these tubes, because this is the big one, all right? One of these tubes for every 8-foot sheet. I know it sounds like a lot of a product, but if you follow the recommendations from the manufacturer, you're gonna get a superior result. If you're not worried about a superior result, you can do like I did in my last soundproofing video, and I cheated a little bit because I wanted some protection, but it wasn't doing a theater room. I was just upping my game from a traditional level 50. There we go. Now, I'm gonna suggest that you cut this tip nice and thick. Don't go cheap here, because if you go too skinny of a tip, you're gonna be all day long squeezing that out. Okay? The instructions are pretty clear on this. You wanna apply this in a random pattern, all right? Which means whatever you do is fine, just get it on evenly. But keep it about 3 inches away from the edge, and that's just to make your life simple when you're handling it. If you're using a panel lift like us, we don't have to worry about that. So we're just gonna start up here, and we wanna put it out nice and thick. All right? Now here's the thing, right? We can throw a little bit of a happy tree in here. A little bit of a Christmas action, maybe. Room around the bottom there to lay some presents. Huh? Just don't know what I'm gonna do for an effect. There we go. A little bit of a tree in the wind here. Nice gentle breeze. There we go. Oh yeah, that's feeling a lot better. There. Oh yeah. Okay. And we'll just sign our name here. JT. And then when you have a little extra left on the brush, just beat the devil out of it. There we go. Now we'll put our happy tree to work. So, we're installing a typical 5/8 fire rated drywall in the ceiling. We're screwing it to the hat channel. Now I prefer to install all my drywall using a drywall lift. Obviously, the older you get, the more you appreciate renting tools. This sucker makes this completely easy and doable all by yourself. Now make sure you're using the 5/8 drywall here. Now 2 layers of 1/2 inch do have a certain sound rating attached to it, but nowhere near as much as the 5/8. And that goes back to when we were discussing having fiber or material that has different changes in direction. The 5/8 drywall has fiberglass in the drywall, and so it changes the direction of the mass of that material constantly, and that helps to really dissipate and absorb sound. So 2 layers of this does a great job. We're going to install ours with green glue as well, because with the green glue it gives you an incredibly broader range of sound absorption, because it takes those sound waves and it turns it into heat. And that is really cool. Here we go. Love my gear drive panel lift. And listen, if it doesn't say panel lift, it isn't. It's just dangerous. You can check out the review we did. We did a side-by-side comparison with one of those cheaper ones you can get from Amazon. You know, I understand the concept, save a few bucks, get the job done, but it's not worth it. I just really don't like the quality of it, the cheap construction, the whole idea that your personal safety has got no value at all. And I'm not one for safety first, but dear God, you gotta be able to use your brain sometimes and go, this is just not a good idea. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, they're gonna put the green glue, that's the end of the video, but it's not. Remember, we're doing an entire theater room, not just the drywall and the wall component. We're also gonna show you how to finish sealing this off so you can maintain the integrity of the overall project. We're going to show you how to soundproof your doors and your windows as well. So don't run away quite yet. We got quite a few things to go through as far as that's concerned. Hey. Oh, there we go. Nice and tight. Slap that together. Woo! So basically we are taking, now I'm going on to a 2-inch screw because we have to penetrate 2 thicknesses of this material, and then still want to attach to that channel. And the reason we're attaching to the channel, again, we're not trying to reach the framework. That's very intentional. We don't want to have any of these fasteners attached to the frame of the house and allowing that sound to travel through the structure into our room. All right. Woo! So now we're going to use the green glue, but this is a brand name for a product line. And this is the noise proofing sealant. This is the noise proofing compound that we were using between the drywall. You will see it's a green label on the can. This stuff is red. And the reason for it is it's designed to go between your subfloor and your drywall. Okay? This stuff here is designed, just like the acoustic caulk we use on the vapor barrier, it's designed to fill all those voids between drywall and floor as a last barrier, just to make sure we're making extra sure that all of our joints are completely sealed. You can use this from drywall to drywall on your inside corners, between your layers, all of these areas. If you have any concern that there might be air moving or you're trying to guarantee sound not getting out, this is the stuff you use to seal everything up nice and tight. Now when you're soundproofing a theater room, one of the most important considerations, or I should say the 2 last important considerations, is the windows and the doors. You can do all the soundproofing you want of the walls and the ceiling and the electrical and all the protrusions through your sound barrier, but if you don't deal with the doors and the windows, you're going to be really disappointed with the investment that you put in trying to create a soundproof room. Bottom line, as a hole this big will let through all the sound and you'll ruin your day. So here are the components and the tricks to solve this problem. 4 things you got to do to soundproof a door. It's going to revolutionize your world. First, got to remove your door casing all the way around. Yep. Here we go. And just remember, if it's a large gap, you want to foam going from the bottom up. If it's a small one, you can foam from the top down. But make sure you have something there for the foam to sit on. Like piping a cake. Okay? And the reason we're foaming here is, remember that in between the walls we have insulation, we've got drywall, but right here we have nothing but air and a little bit of trim. If you seal this up with the expansion foam, The density of that foam is going to do a lot of sound barrier for you. It actually is a really great product. Then when we put the trim on both sides again, all you have left to worry about is the gap around the door, the gap under the door, and the door itself. Remember, if it's a hollow core door, you need to replace it. This is a 6-panel door. Now you can buy a 6-panel door, solid core, that looks exactly the same as the rest of the ones in the house. Go out and replace it. You're gonna need 3 solid hinges because it's pretty heavy. Those things weigh about 80 to 100 pounds, but they work. And if you incorporate the foam with the new door, and the next 2 things that I show you, you'll have the quietest door in the world. So the folks over at Trademark Soundproofing have developed this great little system. This is a door stop system that goes on the interior of your door. And basically what happens is you have a door sweeper combined with the 3 new door stops that go on the outside. And they all have gaskets on them. But the door sweeper has this feature here. Where the side works very much like weather stripping, but the bottom is cool because it has an activation pin. When the door actually closes, the pin is activated and then the bottom comes down. And it seals off the gap underneath the door. So we're gonna install this, close the door and show you how this works. But it effectively seals off any air movement around the door, which is exactly how sound would penetrate. So let's solve that problem now. You lay that on the bottom, measure down to the door stop sitting on the floor so you can cut the side. And it's 76. And what I want to do is I want to take a 1/4 inch off of that to allow for the bottom to work and make sure that I'm not going to run into problems. So 75 3/4. And then what we'll do is we'll close the door and install this on the door. What I have here is I have a 30-inch door from door jamb to door jamb. And so this should be a 30-inch unit. And you can actually order them accordingly. What I've got here is a 32-inch. I wanted to show you how simple it is to cut this down if you have an odd-sized door. So if you have to cut it, don't cut on the pin side, but measure over, and you can cut on this side. Now, if you've got a saw that you can cut through metal, then great. If not, use a hacksaw. I happen to have an Evolution saw, and I can cut through metal and wood and everything in between. So we're going to go take this measurement and get this cut, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here we go. Now, the way that this gets installed is actually on the surface of the door, okay? Which is amazing. Now, before we do that, we need to install these little brackets. Close off the ends, and they just get a couple of set screws. They're going to be a little bit picky to work with, but once you get them going, it'll be all right. And the other side. Now, these little end pieces are actually what keep the whole track dropping down consistently across the board. And give the sweeper a nice finished look for when the door's open. Okay. Now I want the sweeper just an 1/8 of an inch past the edge of the door because there is going to be a gap to the jamb. And then you want it off the floor so that it can engage. Here we go. There we go. The sweeper's down. Perfect fit. So the final step in soundproofing your room is the windows. It's the trickiest one out there actually because there's a very limited options available. If you have a single pane or even a double pane, you're going to find that all kinds of noise will come through the window. And that's because with vinyl windows, the extrusion that it's made with has got all sorts of little moving parts and little gaskets, and all those areas there, they're not perfectly airtight. And as long as there's air leaking through a window, you're going to have a lot of sound. Now the glass itself does a decent job, and you can get a triple pane window if you like, and that'll help a little bit. But remember, the rule with sound, if there's any air movement at all, the sound's coming through. You got to be able to stop that. So the only way that you can soundproof a room if you have windows is to put an actual covering over it that has the ability to absorb any noise that penetrates, sort of like the vinyl mask that we used in the room earlier. So this is the product from Trademark Soundproofing. Okay, this is amazingly heavy. This little mat here, it weighs about 40 pounds. Super dense. And it will hang across the top of the window. We're going to show you how to install it and all the benefits of it. But the reality is this: if you don't seal it up and you don't keep the air from moving through, there's no way to soundproof a room. So you can't go kind of soundproof or most of it's soundproof. You go all in or you don't do anything at all. Buy some earplugs if you're not ready to do the whole investment. So in this situation, I have a balloon frame house and I don't have wall framing in the right place. I don't have a header across the top of the window. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the power of the caulking and the nails of this trim. This is solid wood, and I'm going to actually hang my soundproofing right here. So I need to pre-drill because I'm going to be putting some pretty decent sized hardware in there to hold this up. There we go. Now, just a warning, the hooks for mounting this do not come in the kit. So I'm going to be using some stainless steel bolts until I find time to go to the store and buy the hooks. Just to give you an idea, installation works something like this. All right. Now, whew. The next part of this installation involves sealing it up, and that's basically two-sided tape and a Velcro. The back side of this is all Velcroed as well, so we're going to just lace all of the casing with the Velcro tape. We'll get it sealed down, and you can peel and stick with this thing, which is awesome. Now remember, this is not a design feature, right? As far as making something pretty, this is a design feature for functionality. So if you're doing a theater room and you've got windows and you want to soundproof it, this is the only thing that you can do that actually works for any kind of a cost-effective budget. Now, speaking of budget, don't forget, follow the link in the description of this video. Our friends over at Trademark Soundproofing have given a discount code. So everything that you can buy at their store, for all of the viewers out there, you're going to get a 10% discount. That's awesome that we were able to arrange that for you. So that's the door trims, this stuff, the vinyl mask. Anything that you've seen us using to soundproof here is going to be included in that discount. So feel free to avail yourself to that link. Now I'm just going to go ahead and finish up all of the rest of this. We'll get this sealed up in no time. See. This is a lot like installing that window film. Thin plastic, you two-side tape your window, put on the plastic, use a hairdryer to tighten it up. Now when you place your order for this material, Trademark Soundproofing wants you to give them the dimension to the outside of the casing, because that's what they're making this for. So it's the outside dimension of the casing of the window. That's how you got to measure, left to right and then top to bottom. Man, this is some strong tape. You want to get this right the first time. Be patient with it. Don't take all the backing off at once. All right. Man, without those hooks, that'd be really difficult. And the goal here is to line that edge up with pressure. And then we can come back over here, stretching it out as we go. Wow. Woo. Man, that's a lot of work. But you know what? It works. It's so quiet, it's not even funny. Now remember, if you want to get a discount code and everything, just check the description below. So here at Home Renovision, we love to help. And if you think you might need help with your renovation, then consider becoming a member. We got a lot of benefits and perks there, including access to give me a call if you need it. So that's an option. Hit the join button. You can read all about that. And if you're looking for more general information about renovations, then click the link here. We've got a lot of projects here that cover all the information that you're going to need to know so you can have a successful renovation. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like it, and hit the subscribe button. We'll see you again next week.